And also beating like the Hunter Labradas, the Justin Rodriguez's. I mean, these guys are really, obviously Hunter had an amazing debut year winning the Tampa. A lot of people were talking about him making top 6, and he was only a few spots away. Justin Rodriguez, who made absolute strides last year. It must feel good, really, really sort of placing ahead of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, and I'd be lying if I said that beating Hunter wasn't very important to me.
Well, it was, because he won Tampa. You got 7th at Tampa. Yeah. You kind of, because I wrote about it in my column, and I said I'm really looking forward to seeing Hunter against Iain at the Olympia to see who falls where.
Yeah, no, and I know that's me and Hunter match up very well in a lot of ways, but also have a lot of differences. And obviously I was second in Tampa, very deservedly. I mean, Hunter was much better than me in Tampa, so I mean, I have no arguments there.
Yeah.
But I knew in my heart of hearts that I was capable of a lot more than Tampa, obviously.
Yeah.
So I wanted my second crack at that for sure. So it was when I got off stage, it's funny. I've told the story when I got off stage, because they didn't tell us our placings right away, right?
Okay.
They only announced the top 5 on stage this year. They didn't do the top.
I didn't realize, because normally it's top 10. They go from 10th to 1st, don't they?
Yeah, so they usually give everyone their top 10 on stage. They only did top 5 this year.
Oh, shit.
So I was like, okay, well, I know I'm in the top 10 because I was in the middle of that call out with Hunter and Dexter and Justin. So
yes.
I'm somewhere in the 7, 8, 9, 10 range.
Yeah.
And in my mind, looking at the photos after prejudging, I was I was very confident I had the 7th place. But you never know, your mind starts racing.
Yeah, you're kind of hoping for the best, aren't you?
Yeah, maybe Hunter was better in this shot, or maybe they actually have Dexter all the way in 7th, and we're all 8, 9, 10, or maybe just, you start thinking of these scenarios that could possibly happen. So
yeah,
I got off stage and I was trying to find any judge I could, and I find one judge. But the funny thing is with the judges, they really only knew where they had scored you. They don't see the entire picture necessarily unless they're one of the head judges, right? So
yeah,
I was like, do you know where I placed? I want to, and they're like, oh, it'll be up online later. I know where I placed you. I had you in 7th or whatever, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But they didn't know the whole picture. They just know where they specifically had scored you. So then I was like, oh fuck, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to go out and enjoy that evening with my family unless I.
No. So when did you find? When did you realize though? When did you find out?
Well, this is the thing. So it was bothering me so much, and I went back and found my family. Yeah. We all said the hugs and congratulations and all that kind of stuff, and everyone was asking me where I placed, and I was like, I don't know yet. So then my buddy Julian, who's my training partner, he was like, well, let's go back there and find fucking Steve or Tyler or one of these guys, and let's just ask them. I'm like, they're all in the press pit because Ramy had just won. It's a big hoo-ha back there, So he's like, fuck it, man, let's just go. So we walk back to the backstage, and I see Steve and Tyler, they were having a conversation with, these guys. And then I saw them turn away for a minute. So I'm like, this is my opportunity. So I walk in there and I'm just to Tyler, I go to Tyler. I'm like, hey man, I don't know if this is against the rules or if I got to wait for this to come out later. I'm like, I just need to know where I placed here. I'm not going to be able to sleep at night unless I know right now, and obviously a lot of that was, I want to know if I beat Hunter too,
Of course. No, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big thing.
Storyline.
Yeah. Of course it was.
So Tyler was like, oh, we had you tied after prejudging, and I don't know where you, I didn't see where the total scores were at night. And then Steve Weinberger piped up and he was like, you were a definitive 7th at night, so you were 7th. I was like, oh, and that was the biggest weight off my shoulders.
Oh.
That moment there was my Olympia win, that was just oh, it felt so good to all that was just done, I got everything I wanted out of that Olympia and more, and just to have it kind of all settled right there, I was like, oh, such a relief,
Yeah, and also you kind of, I mean, I know he was on it was his last year, but I mean, to say, even to beat someone like Dexter Jackson, who only a year before, 2019, you'd placed 3rd to at the Tampa, surely that felt good as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, I mean, obviously he wasn't, 2008 Dexter or anything, but I mean, he was still, he's still Dexter Jackson. He's still one of the greatest all time. And, to at least have one on him before he retired obviously felt good to, say to my kids in 20 years, I beat Dexter once.
I beat him, Mr. Olympia. Yeah.
What he looked like or how old he was is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it was, it's a cool thing to have, on the resume. And, I was really happy I beat a lot of good guys at the show. So, and a couple guys like Hunter and Dexter that I hadn't beat before. So, to kind of feel, there's one thing to place well in a show when I potentially was beating guys that I'd already beaten. Like, if I showed up in the show and Hunter and Dexter weren't there, let's say, and I beat, Justin, and I beat, Antoine and beat all these guys. Well, I've already beat all these guys, so like to me, it wouldn't like a significant stepping stone. It's like, yeah, my physique is clearly improved, but, to see it like in the lineup compared against guys that have beaten me before and to then come and beat them.
Yeah.
That was something that really kind of like, signified that